Welcome back to my somewhat good YouTube channel. Let's not waste any more time. Get the cool intro in, please. Yes, the one that I didn't really change that much of because I can't really. Real quick, I would like to thank user Movies After Dark for posting all the title cards to the subreddit of Scott Pilgrim. It really helps a lot with what I'm doing here. Starts off in Scott's dreams, by the way. It is the main character, Scott Pilgrim. You could tell because that's the title of the show, where he encounters a random woman that he has been encountering for weeks in his dreams. He wakes up, he has an average day, he rehearses with his bandmates, and then he goes to a party without his 17-year-old girlfriend, Knives. It's played off in the show as she thinks that they're dating, but I wouldn't be too sure because the two other medias in the franchise have stated that they are fucking dating, so it's weird as hell. He encounters the woman from his dreams. Her name is Ramona, and she works at Netflix. By the way, at this time, Netflix was a DVD rental place. So he orders a couple of movies, and she arrives with the movies. They have a quick conversation before he asks her out on a date. We find out that an ominous figure is watching over them in some sort of surveillance room. And meanwhile, Scott, none the wiser, has just asked Ramona to come to his band's show that night. And once they go there and start trying to play the first song, Matthew Patel, Ramona's first evil ex, arrives to the concert. He tries to attack Scott, and all of a sudden, what? Sorry. What now? He did, what happens? Huh? That's not supposed to happen. The producers, as in me and the second person, are telling me that that Scott dies? That's not exactly what I remember happening in the movies and the book. But in all seriousness, that twist was a very good start to the series. It really, to me, as someone who read the comics, was like really shocking. As in the movie and the comic book, he does not die at all until like the last book, and he comes back pretty soon. So like, first episode is already a 10 out of 10. It was really good, and again, really shocking. This episode starts off with Scott still being dead, so they hold. Oh, wait a second, I need. I didn't have like a suit or something prepared, but I think I'm pretty dressed for the occasion. They hold his funeral, where Envy, being Scott's ex, and now a superstar. She starts singing that song that's in those animal abuse videos.
At this point in filming, by my face, I think I must have realized that I was thinking of a different song. I was thinking of that song that goes like, "In the arms of an angel."
And while that song is playing, we see every single one of Ramona's exes getting invited to a dinner party where they all don't know who invited them, including the person who owns the lair that they just got invited to. So Matthew Patel reveals to the entire group, which, by the way, the League of Evil Exes, I should probably explain that. There is 7 of her exes, and they all have a league. They are all part of a league called the League of Evil Exes. Yeah, really butthurt, I guess. Matthew, after revealing this, challenges Gideon, the 7th Evil Ex, to fight him, and whoever wins gets every single one of Gideon's possessions, including the League. Gideon loses. Matthew Patel gets every single one of his possessions, and Ramona re-dyes her hair, which she'll do a lot this season. If you're wondering, you're probably fucking not though. And she goes to sleep, where she hears a familiar voice yelling her name. When she wakes up, she says what's on everyone's mind, which is, "He's alive! Yes!" I rate this episode a 10 out of 10. The fact that they put the coins that he dropped in his casket was really funny. This episode starts off in young Neil's bedroom. He is trying to write a screenplay. He is not very good at it. He has writer's block like I do on mostly every single one of the videos that I make. Why do you think Star Trek The Next Generation Season 2 isn't out yet? Why do you think my review of that isn't out yet? Well, at this point in time, me recording this video, it is recorded. But why do you think it didn't come out like 3 months ago? Or like, I don't know, almost a year ago? Anyways, at night, so it breaks into his room, Peter. It's played off as a dream, but I wouldn't be too sure, because I've watched the entire show, but I typed that in before I watched the entire show. Because there's a script on his desk. A full script. After the intro, we cut to Ramona re-dyeing her hair for the 3rd time now, and going to a coffee shop where most of the other crew of the show find out that Scott is still alive. She starts investigating every single possible person who may have kidnapped him, because he was pulled through a portal. Now, she first starts investigating Kim, after Kim and Knives have the Ratatouille sequence, but with music, which I wish to hell they made that song into one of the things on their original soundtrack. It's actually pretty good. I'm sure I won't be able to find a clip of it, but just in case, put it up here, Sullivan, if you can. She starts talking to Kim at the No Count Video, which is the shop that Kim works at, where she learns about how Scott and Kim met, which, like most of the flashbacks about all the exes in the show, are actually really fucking cute. But, you know, also really fucking sad. All of a sudden, someone starts ringing at the customer service desk over and over again repeatedly, until Ramona and Kim look over to reveal that it is Roxy Richter, Ramona's 4th evil ex, and the only girl of the League. They fight through nondescript movies, but it's like actually cool as hell. Like, you should just try to search that out, or get a Netflix, like get a free trial of Netflix, because you should watch this show if you're interested in it. But like, you should try to find that clip. It's fucking cool as hell. They fight through movies. I've never seen that happen before, but that's such a Scott Pilgrim thing to happen, honestly, and I love it. They also play a flashback sequence of their relationship, and they stop fighting. They become friends, and then Kim accepts Roxy's invitation to be friend as well. With benefits! I rate this one a 10 out of 10. So far, really don't like how much I'm liking what is categorized as an anime by most of the fan base. But who knows? Let's hope that doesn't become the thing that I'm obsessed with now. And also, I might be biased because I fucking have loved this franchise for years. So, this episode starts off with Lucas Lee, Ramona's third evil ex.
Oh my god, I know for a fact that I meant second. But I haven't read the comics in like years, so don't be angry at me for that, Scott Pilgrim fans. It's been 4 years since I've read the books and saw the movie. Give me a break.
In a skateboard montage, when his agent calls him saying that he has one lead role offer left and he should probably take it because it's probably going to be his last one for a while. She also says that if he doesn't want to lose his job, he should probably not do anything unprofessional. And after the intro sequence, which I don't think I've appreciated the intro sequence yet, so I'll just say it. It's a fucking amazing intro sequence. I've seen someone on Reddit. I'll put it up here if I can find it. I'll probably just cut that part out if I can. It is like everything that a Scott Pilgrim intro should be. After the intro sequence, we find Ramona dyeing her hair for the 4th time now, so put that on your counting cards or whatever if you want to do that for some reason. And sneaking in to the studio that Lucas's next film is being recorded in. Once we find young Neil there, we find out, and this is very meta. We find out that young Neil has written a script about Scott if he did win the fight. And Lucas is playing Scott. So, of course, we have to see him wearing a tight-fitting yellow star shirt, which really offends me because I love that shirt. And it does not look good on him, by the way. We see Wallace get the role in the movie as himself, and Ramona interviews him in his trailer, where we find out that where we see the paparazzi break into his trailer. By the way, paparazzi in the Scott Pilgrim universe are ninjas. Just go with it, please, so I don't have to explain that, because I don't understand. I'm not Brian Lee O'Malley. Lucas defeats all of the ninjas that he can, and Ramona helps him sneak out of the studio, where we find out that he's lost his job and most likely his career. I give this one like a 9 out of 10. Yeah, I had been wincing in a few areas, but it was a pretty good episode. Meta commentary was pretty good. The episode is in the mockumentary style, where they interview all of the cast of the movie, where we find out that in this universe, Todd and Wallace had an on-set fling with each other.
Yeah, feature me here again for the 30th time. I recorded this video very early in the morning, so I got a lot of things wrong. I forgot to mention which number Todd is in Ramona's X's. He is number 3.
At the end, Gideon shows up because he is now the CEO of basically everything. Shuts down.
I'm definitely not going to, but I should have really just re-recorded this fucking video. I meant Matthew. God damn, I'm terrible at this.
The movie before revealing that Gideon and Julie live together now. 10 out of 10, like usual. I winced in a lot of areas, but it was a lot better than the last episode. where it was just very cringy to see someone so cocky. This episode starts off very cute with Gideon and Lucas reuniting and becoming friends, and then they accidentally trash Julie's entire apartment while Ramona is talking to Julie about her case, and a few things happen. Then she reveals to the entirety of Scott's band who it truly was, with all the evidence that she has, which is someone opening what is apparently a vegan portal. It is more powerful than anyone could ever imagine. But what is more powerful? But what is the only thing that could truly ever be 100% vegan? A robot. And if you guessed that, you would be incredibly insane and 100% correct. Because it was the twins, her 5th and 6th Evil X's robot. Because he hasn't eaten anything ever. So yeah, actually that does make a lot of sense. Yeah. Scott all of a sudden returns. And he reveals that all this was 100% correct. And that she got all the correct things. Except for one thing in particular. It was himself. So this episode is Scott explaining that when he was in the future, old Scott told him that he and Ramona got divorced and that he will not let young Scott leave the future until he absolutely promises that he will break up with Ramona. So he scouts out the twins robot because apparently in the future Scott is friends with the twins because all the characters respawn after he defeats them. Again, don't ask. This is partly because a lot of this franchise is based in video games, including a video game. He tracks down the robot. He sees everything that has happened in the events of the show, and he decides that he is not going to do any of that. He goes to future Ramona's house with old Wallace. She beats the shit out of them before turning the lights on. She talks to them for a bit, or she reveals that she was the one who wrote the script that ended up in Neil's bedroom. With roller skates that she put old parts of a DeLorean onto. Oh, sorry, that's just all 3 of the Back to the Future VHS tapes that I own. Yeah, all 3 of them, all 3 of the movies. It's weird. Why did that just appear in my lap randomly? Ah, that's weird. Anyways, so she helps him travel back in time to where he left off. Well, not exactly to where he left off, but however long after he left off takes place in the story when they're talking about all of this. So it's finally over, right? Apparently, there's a force field around him and Ramona to the point where they can't kiss. Yes, that's right. That's the main conflict for this episode, for the next episode. There is a force field around them, making it so they can't kiss. Which means that Scott has some unfinished business. So he has to go into his finest hour. Not in the way he suspects. I will give this one a 10 out of 10. Really tied together. All of the mysteries from the show. This episode starts with Scott trying to start a fight with every single X. Every single one of those fails. And we still don't know who caused the force field. Once the play starts, by the way, there's a play of his life now. They get enveloped by a weird explosion thing, and when they come to, they're on the world that Scott was dreaming of at the start of this show. Once on this weird world, we reveal who truly caused the force field, even older Scott. And we learn that even after he causes the force field to happen, they still get happily married, which I think is honestly very cute, even if it means that they just somehow found a way to dissolve the force field. It's still very cute. Chef's fucking kiss, Brian Lee O'Malley. We find out that
I proceeded to wait here for about 2 to 3 minutes as someone slowly dragged something upstairs with their friends or family. I, first of all, didn't know if it would get picked up by the phone, so I didn't want to have a bad audio take, and also I didn't want them to hear me since I'm self-conscious about this whole content creation thing.
We learn older Scott wants to do what he thinks he should have done a long time ago, which is beat up and kill younger version of himself. Which begs the question, which kind of timeline rules are we following here? Because if he did that, wouldn't he just, end his own life? Wouldn't he just end his existence immediately? I don't know. Every single person starts fighting him. This means all of Scott's friends and all of Ramona's evil exes, which is really good that they all can come together to still beat the shit out of Scott. But now for a good reason. He sends everyone back except for Ramona and Scott, and then he tries to kill both of them. He almost kills Scott when Ramona steps in front of him, and he's like, "Oh, look at this puny motherfucker!" And then future Ramona somehow also comes in and blocks him. And then after they start bickering, and he's like, "Oh yeah, fine, just run away like you always do." And a quick, little montage of every single time that she's ran away from a boyfriend. We see what is possibly the most surprising thing in this entire season. Both Ramonas combine together to become a super Ramona. And Scott says this already, but I'll say it anyways. Like in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. They send future Scott back to the future, and they break the AK field, which, by the way, the future Scott calls an AK field, AK being short for anti-kissing field, which is the most 10-year-old thing I've ever said. So he's still immature in the future, which is really good for their relationship. But they do kiss and break the field. And then after that, they have an epilogue sequence, which is basically just, instead of doing that thing that old teen movies did, where it shows the Texans Sullivan got killed in the Third World War, they just have a montage of where every character is after the events of the show, which I can only describe as, and I feel like it's a little bit weird because I'm not the one who wrote this fucking show, but I can only describe it as that one thing that Michael Scott said is he can really only describe best.
I feel like all my kids grew up and then they married each other.
10 out of 10. Really good ending to the season. Oh, also did I mention that there's an after credits scene where Gideon says, "This is where the real game begins," and then Julie says, "The goose is loose, quack quack, motherfuckers." Yeah. So anyways, again, 10 out of 10. Really, really good show. Guessing another season is going to happen, but that is okay. Because he can really write his own book into a TV show, that's for sure. I cried. That's fun. I cried for 20, 25 minutes when it ended. that may not seem like a lot, as you know, like, oh my god, my thing had like my favorite one of my favorite franchises had had a really good TV show. No, the context behind this, and I'm pretty sure I put this in the script. I did not cry when the comic or the movie ended at all. I think I maybe like had a little like this much sadness, and then here's how much sadness I had like after the show ended. Well, it wasn't really sadness; it's like more of happiness, you know. Still, anyways, I'll see you next time. It will be sooner than you think. No, it will not be Star Trek Season 2. See you, bye!